alumni that are here today. We're going to go over here for a picture. Because that way no one has to go off the stage. So it'll just be right there.
The picture and then...
With this, and then if I...
And then they come back off this way, right? So as soon as they're done with their little speech, then I give that to them, direct them to their picture, or I stand over here. No. They'll be clumsy. Yeah. And I'll remind them.
Good morning, everyone. I do want to let you all know, we are Facebook Live right now for the first time ever at a Distinguished Alumni event because we've learned things during the pandemic so that others who couldn't join us can be with us today. So for those of you watching, welcome. We're also recording this so that the recipients can actually get a copy of the event itself. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Cecilia Lovelace, Vice President for Institutional Advancement, and it has been 2 years since we gathered in this room, and I think we all need to give ourselves, I'm calling this a COVID hug. So happy to have you guys all here. I would like to invite not only just the honorees of the Distinguished Alumni to stand, but also their families and friends who are here with them today. Can you guys all please stand so we're going to be applauding you a lot today, but go ahead and please stand up. Thank you so much, Debbie. And now I would like to ask all former Distinguished Alumni who are here in the room to please stand up. Former Distinguished Alumni. We are surrounded by incredible people in this room this morning. Now I would like to ask all of the trustees in the room to please stand up. Board of Trustees, past and present, to please stand up. And I shouldn't say past, how about former? And most important, well, everyone's important, but can we please have the Abbey members please stand up? We are joined today with a lot of administrators, cabinet members, faculty, staff surrounding the room, sprinkling this. And I'm sure Dr. Hendricks will speak to that. But there's another great group, and this is what we're all here for as our students. So I'd like to ask the ASMU students to please stand up so that all of us can applaud you. And thanks to our BONAP staff that are back there for the coffee and beverages and the mimosas. Let's give them a round of applause. And then finally to the IA team, the marketing team, the events crew, and all of athletics who have really made this happen. And to David Crawford, who has taken us live, that also oversees the rec center. Big round of applause. I'm going to turn this over to Abbot Marion for an invocation, but as he gets up here, this is an even more special weekend because, as you know, Dr. Hendricks is retiring this June, and actually so is our athletic director, Bob Grisham. And so this homecoming weekend is going to be one of lots of shared memories, lots of celebration, and lots of exciting moments cherished. So thank you for being here, and I will turn this over to Abbot Marion.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome home to all our alumni. Welcome to the Great Northwest, which is matched up by everything that goes with the Northwest, and that is the rain. It is like the affection that we have for you. It's plentiful. And in a special way, I think we're all here to experience and recall the way in which we have been loved. And especially those who have loved a lot, and why we're honoring them. But here's the thing, I come from the new role that I have as the abbot, and there's a whole chapter in the Rule of St. Benedict of what the abbot ought to be and ought to do. And it scares me every morning. I'm afraid of reading it. But here's one section that I wanted to share with you. So it's more like more like a conference I give with the brothers. Here's just one small excerpt from chapter 2 on what an abbot ought to be. Benedict says, "The abbot should avoid all favoritism in the monastery. He is not to love one more than another unless he finds someone better in good actions and obedience." So you see, today we come here to honor people. So you see where I'm feeling a little torn. And at the same time, Benedict does give when it is appropriate to honor someone, if that person is found better in good actions and in obedience. What exactly does that mean for the monk? Obedience is not only obedient to the abbot, the superior, even the abbot himself has to be obedient. Obedient to the voice of God. Obedient to the word of God, which teaches us justice and love, hope, faith, and love. Does a person listen to that voice? Is that person obedient not only with the ears of the heart, but also with actions? And Benedict says the second one is one in which he is found to have done well in good works. And what are they? If you want to know, they're in chapter 4. It's one of the longest ones. I won't read the whole thing. But here are a couple things that are connected in good works. To love the Lord your God with all your heart, your whole soul, and your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. That your way of acting should be different from the world, because the love of Christ must come before all else. To never give a hollow greeting of peace or turn away from someone who needs your love. To not repay one bad turn with another. To do no injury to anyone. To bear injuries patiently. To love your enemies. My dear friends, in this context, it is not only appropriate, it is absolutely necessary to honor these kinds of people. People who listen to the voice of justice, the voice of love, the voice of hope, the voice of love, and actions that touch the heart. And I feel privileged to be in a room full of people of faith, of hope, and of love. And with that, I call upon really the blessing that God wishes to give to all his children. So let us prepare ourselves to receive that blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, a couple things for today. I thank you, Abbot Marion, for that beautiful blessing. We are doing things a little bit different. As you can see, we're not having our meal. We're actually going to celebrate the recipients first, and then we'll serve a meal that is either to go for those who are comfortable, or those of you who want to continue to gather can have the meal. So getting started, I'm really honored to introduce Dr. Hendricks, president of St. Martin's University, the 10th president, and will have served 14 years as president in June. Over the last 2 years, Dr. Hendricks has successfully navigated the university through the pandemic while protecting and growing the St. Martin's community. Here's a couple highlights that I want to call out. He has helped in expanding academic programs, including new majors across 4 colleges, new graduate programs, and its first doctoral program, along with Dr. Boyle, Kate Boyle, if we could give her a round of applause, our provost. And that launch happened during the pandemic, if you can believe it. He has increased undergraduate and graduate enrollment, broadened community partnerships, and record-breaking fundraising efforts, including the addition of several new academic buildings, grants, and scholarships to provide greater support and opportunities for our students. And as we close up today, the next thing on the adventure is Coffee with the Monks, which I'm understanding that all of them are actually going to be at Coffee with the Monks, which means you get to see the new science building, and there's signage as to how to get there, and you can drive there or you can walk there and see this incredible new building that came on board right before we had to shut down. And so now it's my honor and privilege to turn this over to Dr. Hendricks.
Well, aren't we happy to be here in person? I am so pleased by the turnout. Yes, it does deserve a round of applause. For some of us, it's been 2 years in the making. In fact, this is one of the last official events in person we had before the outbreak of the pandemic in 2020. I am so pleased to see so many friendly faces here in the crowd. This is truly the family of St. Martin's University, and I'm so pleased you could join us here this morning. We have had, as Cecilia stated, a tough time in trying to predict this pandemic and how to handle it. And I have to tell you, I think we have been blessed. We have navigated it very well. The fact is, we did welcome our largest first-year freshman class in history this fall. And recall, last year, we had no campus visits. These were all virtual recruitment that took place this last year. Patty Lemon, I know you're in the audience, our Dean of Enrollment. Patty, would you stand and be recognized? Thank you for this. And I also know Pam Fuchs, our recently retired Dean of Enrollment, is here as well. Pam, please stand to be recognized. Outstanding work in helping us recruit students during a pandemic, exceeding our last record high number of first-year students. We still have work to do. We want to rebuild our international student population, which has declined over the last few years, and we continue to find ways to attract military from JBLM in particular. We have been very active, as you have heard, in adding new programs, launching programs even during a pandemic. The PhD in leadership is one that touches my heart. I am pleased we are offering a doctorate program and understanding that there's nothing quite like it in the South Sound region that we offer. We have a waiting list of people who want to attend the first year's cohort. I don't think we have any graduating this May, but definitely the following May, we'll see and award our first PhD candidates. So I'm excited about that because it's a new beginning. We continue to look for the degrees that we believe that are in demand in the area and can help individuals move forward in their chosen career paths. As you know, we've added a number of new buildings, primarily for the academic programs. You will get a chance to see the Ornsdorf Center, our new science building, as Cecilia stated, if you attend the Coffee with the Monks that opened in 2019, 3 years ago. It is great, and join us for the Coffee and the Monks at the Skeel atrium. Pat Skeel donated the funds to help build that building. The Betty Foundation Nursing Center. All right, alumni, if you haven't been down to the lower level, the first level of Old Main, you need to see what happened to your chemistry and physics labs in that building. You won't recognize it. No longer looks like the dungeon that you attended in And I know a few alumni demanded that we save tiles from the floor of certain areas in there just as to remember. I think to remember how awful it really was, because I think it was always old. It's always been called Old Main for a reason. But we had the ability to put over $3 million into renovating that space. And it's unbelievable. The windows there, the daylight, I wish you would have a chance to visit it firsthand and see the changes, because it does not look like it was at all. In fact, it looks like what the rest of the building could be in the future, with a heavy dose of money to help along with it and contributions in particular. Know that we completed construction in 2020. In fact, we were concerned. We needed it for our new nursing programs. It was considered essential construction. We were able to argue it so that the contractors during the pandemic would stay on site and complete that project. And thank heavens they did. Our students started using it in fall of 2020. That program also has a waiting list of students that would like to be part of it. Recall that we started 5 to 6 years ago an RN to BSN program. When I first came here, I learned we had an RN to BSN, but had dropped it before I came, and I asked why when the largest healthcare provider is a Catholic organization just a few miles away from this university. And we began conversations about what their needs were for nurses. And we found that, yes, indeed, they preferred a bachelor-prepared nurse, in particular from a faith-based institution, and in particular from a Catholic university. So it made us think about what we could do and how we could offer it. It took us some time in identifying the correct leader to run as director of the nursing center and to hire the faculty. But here we are a few years later, not only with an RN to BSN program, but a 4-year licensure program. And we also are now, this year, have started an LPN to BSN, helping those nurses at the LPN level move forward to become a bachelor-prepared RN. So we're excited about those possibilities, and we've been able to hire faculty in the midst of a pandemic for that program as well. I think the director, Terry Wu, told me the other day we have 27, including adjunct faculty, and the majority of them are right here in our backyard. Nurse educators, nurses that want to give back to their profession by helping educate the next generation of nurses in the community. We launched a new program, the Washington Vets to Techs, similar to what we had for the Microsoft MSSA program that we had started, and it has taken off and is growing wonderfully. I can't imagine a program that started from scratch, and here we are today welcoming, I think, 2 cohorts this spring into the program. Dave Olwell and his staff has helped put together a wonderful program. Microsoft is still working with us, and we'll hire graduates from that program as well. Recall it's a certificate-based program. It's primarily focused at active transitioning military to help them pick up a software certificate and work at high-tech companies. I believe we had one start last fall that was hired even before they started, after they successfully completed, to work in Southern California at a pay rate of about $150,000 a year. Just incredible, the opportunities for the students and the military who are wondering what are they going to do after they transition from what they have been doing for a number of years, and maybe for 10 or 20 years. So an excellent program for us to look at, as we have always served the military here, and in particular, if you look, we were there to help open the education centers at JBLM, and in fact, this year marks the 50th anniversary of opening the education centers. We're only one of a couple of education partners that were there at the very beginning to open the doors of the education center at JBLM. So I'm excited to share that with you, because you know what it is. It really speaks to our service to the community and who we are and the value the military places in our Benedictine education. Well, we could not have accomplished all of this without the generous support of the Abbey and alumni and donors, and the record-breaking numbers at Gala this past year, 2.7 million. Think about that. We raised 2.7. That is amazing. And I know we have alumni here that I recall when I first started as president saying, oh, we've got a gala I want you to go to. You need to come see what this is at, how it works. It was down at the Great Wolf Lodge. We were excited. I think the first year we were here, I was here to raise $100,000. But look at how that has grown. And that germ of an idea took a while to build it. It took a while to bring other people into the circle, people like Dino Batali, to help us look and focus on the celebrity chef format, but to be able to now reach 2.7 million. I'm excited. I tell Cecilia our successors have a new bar to exceed, and it's going to be a tough one. And I'm excited about that because I think it's very important that people have goals and set goals and try to break through those goals. The Abbey match that doubled everything this last year was an incredible way for us to help grow the support from the patrons at that event. Some of you in this room benefited from that by establishing endowments to support scholarships and other purposes, and were matched by the Abbey's most generous gift. This is amazing. You recall part of our strategy to help our students through the pandemic is we awarded over nearly $3 million in Abbott Neil Roth emergency scholarship grants last year. Our students were very excited to have that. The pandemic hurt a number of our families of our students. This helped make it possible. This year, while it was a 1 year, we were able to help our families considerably with the CARES funding. We had over, I think, 3 or 4 million too, as well, award to students in emergency grants this year. So that has helped considerably our retention of students and for them to be able to persist and be successful here and achieve their degree at St. Martin's University. Well, there are still opportunities to give. I do want to share that I'm hopeful that you'll be hearing later this year about our comprehensive campaign. We have been doing remarkably well in fundraising. Again, in the midst of a pandemic, we have never, ever experienced the generosity of individuals, of families that want to step forward and to help St. Martin's, whether it be in an immediate gift, a planned gift, an estate gift. There are many individuals that have stepped up. We have a lofty goal in mind that you will be hearing about later this spring, and I hope that we break through even that goal and exceed that. And I think there's a possibility you can do that. There'll be a couple of years more in this campaign as we move forward, but plenty of opportunity to think twice about your alma mater in ways that you might be able to help out in particular areas that you might be interested in. As you know, we have a list of other improvements we'd like to see on campus, and in particular, we'd like to help our students. And so anything in the way from endowments to gifts at the support annual operations or to help bricks and mortar, projects like the nursing center, fabulous response we've had from students in the community from that, or other projects like we've done, the Ernsdorf Center that you will see in a short while. Well, we are honored to recognize each of our distinguished alumni gathered here this morning. I was excited that we brought the Distinguished Alumni Awards back in 2015. After about a decade-long hiatus, I recall alumni talking to me about why can't we bring that back? And finally we got the momentum going that we bring back and honor alumni that truly deserve to be honored and recognized for their service to their community, for their career. It's a great way of welcoming alumni back to campus and letting us help honor them in many ways. I am pleased to have the 2018 Distinguished Alumnus Christopher Thompson, class of 1980, with us today. Christopher is Vice Chair of the National Alumni Board and the VP of Business Development at CAPSA Healthcare. He has the honor of introducing each of this year's class of distinguished alumni. Please join me in welcoming Christopher to the podium.
Thank you, Dr. Hendricks, and a very big and warm welcome to all of you here to celebrate the Distinguished Alumni honorees for 2022. It's wonderful to be back here. Every time I come back, it's just absolutely wonderful. I always feel enriched, feel a bit better, go home with a bounce in my step. A couple of things before I begin the introductions and say a few words about each of them. I do want to recognize, as the Vice Chair for the National Alumni Board, Dr. Roy Hendricks. When I was here and I graduated in 1980, it was Father John Scott. So I've known a few presidents of our college, but as the 10th president, and I believe this year will be 14 years here at St. Martin's University, it is an absolute honor to have worked alongside him. When I came back after many, many years away to the Olympic or the Pacific Northwest in 2017, I knew Dr. Hendricks only because I would get the alumni newsletter and I would see your name in there, and I'd always try to pronounce it and try to write it without looking at it, and you only have 3 vowels, so got 26 letters to work with. But coming here and coming back to the Pacific Northwest and then being contacted by Katie Wookie and saying that we've nominated you for a Distinguished Alumni, I didn't know what to say. I didn't have words for it. I was so humbled and honored. And when I came to this luncheon, meeting Dr. Hendricks in person, and then now for the past 3 or 4 years working alongside you has been an absolute honor and a pleasure. The time has been short. As you said, you made such an impact on this university that we all love. I get a little emotional because it's a university that means so much to us. When we were here, it was the college, and now it's the university. But as part of the National Alumni Board, I'd like to say thank you, congratulations. We will miss you, but don't go too far. So would everybody please stand in a round of applause for Dr. Hendricks. Well, as I mentioned, I was one of the honorees, or was awarded the Distinguished Alumni in 2018, and it really meant a lot to me because this university does. I found my way to St. Martin's College from a little town, Port Angeles, Washington, up on the North Olympic Peninsula, and I came here because a number of people, Father Killian, his family lived in my hometown of Port Angeles. I was inspired by Father Killian. I could still consider him one of my mentors. Abbot Neil would come up as a deacon and often visit our parish, and I got to know Abbot Neil and many of the other brothers and fathers from St. Martin's University. So it was a place I knew about. I hadn't really visited. And then Father Robert Rengley, I remember just about maybe 6 months before I was going to graduate from high school, came and visited our family. And it was there that he really impressed upon me that St. Martin's, this is the place to come. This is the college that you should select. And I had applied for and been accepted clear across the country to Washington, D.C., a number of other colleges that I thought were the right places for me. But it turned out I was wrong. St. Martin's was the right place for me, and I made that decision and came here in 1976. After graduating in 1980, I received degrees in chemistry and biology, and yes, I was in that dungeon of chemistry in the bottom of Old Main. And somehow, with sometimes not all the resources of larger universities, things happened. We made it work. Father Bede, Father Placidus, my biology professor and mentor. These monks, these professors, all of my other professors, they were dedicated and they loved each and every one of us, and they inspired us and taught us how to learn, not just during college, but how to continue to desire and crave to continue to learn after we left college. So after I left in 1980, I went, as most of us do, young, full of energy, 20 years old. We're off in our career. I met the woman I loved, raised a family, and I spent several years, 30-plus years away from this area, in New Orleans, in Kansas City. But somehow I find my way back to the North Olympic Peninsula. I always knew I would. And somehow, through people like Cecilia and Katie and others, they reconnected with me saying that I was coming back. And then I met Abbot Marion, an absolute honor to meet you, and I'm inspired by the things that you're now doing and following the footsteps of many great abbots here. So it is through them and many, many people that I found my way back to St. Martin's University, and it's the Abbey and this community here that continues to drive me and bring me back over and over and over again. I had a strong desire not only to come back, but to give back, because they had given so much to me. And Brother Boniface, I see you over here, so I recognize you as well. I know you from my years here. But I had a strong desire to get involved. And so I got involved in the alumni board, and I'm now involved with the capital campaign on the steering committee. I helped as much as I could with the new nursing school, but I'm here to stay. I'm here to continue to get involved and to see what I can do and you can do to give back to the students. And I want to give a little shout out over here to the student ASSMU, you called it. We called it the ASSMC in my days. So I'm inspired to see you all here, and I hope that many years from now, some of you will be coming back here as distinguished alumni. You're leaders, and I applaud you for that, so thank you. Becoming involved with the National Alumni Board and helping others connect, I think that's the biggest thing that I really want to do, is to connect with alumni, not only in my class, but in other classes, and reach out. It was an honor to get the list of the awards or the honorees this year, and I reached out to all of you to congratulate you and welcome you, because it's an incredible experience. And once you're bestowed this, you're not a former distinguished alumni, you are a distinguished alumni forever. And I expect that you will take that with the responsibility that's given to you and come back and continue to give and inspire others. A chance to give back a little bit of what's been and continues to give to me is what drives me, and I will continue to do that. When I was asked, what does this honor mean to you? I remember in my speech, and I look back at it a couple years ago, and I ended with my little presentation saying it means nothing to me unless I can recognize those who helped me get there, who helped me become a person that I've become, and to be honored by you as a distinguished alumni. My family, my friends, the community here of St. Martin's University, you have all helped shape me, and I think you will agree that it's helped shape you as well. So congratulations, and I will begin to introduce each of the 2022 honorees. I'd like to recognize our past distinguished alumni, or those who have received the Meinrad Gall Award, which was awarded by the Alumni Association in the late 1970s and the 80s, who are here with us today. Would you please stand? Other distinguished alumni? There we go. Also, the members of the National Alumni Board who serve as the selection committee. Would you please stand? First, Father Killian, we see you over there. And again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this morning, this afternoon, for the weekend. It is homecoming weekend. The main reason we are here today is to recognize and congratulate St. Martin's 2022 Distinguished Alumni Award recipients. Each recipient will be introduced, and that will be followed by a photo and a time for them to share some thoughts on what this means to them. We'll change that order a little bit. We'd like you to make your remarks, and then I'll have you stand over here on my left for a photo before you leave the stage. As I introduce each honoree, I invite them to make their way up and join me here on the stage. You can read more about each of them in your program. So first, and can I just say that this is probably the most colorful group that is in the room today, with your Hawaiian shirts and quite a contingency, all of our fellow alumni and friends from the islands of Hawaii. I'd like to introduce our first honoree, and that is Tommy Ivey from the class of '72. Tommy.
Very humbled and proud to be back here. When I was walking around the campus, I was so shocked at what I seen from what I remembered St. Martin's was. And I'm glad St. Martin's is what it is today, and it tugs at my heart to see such a growth. I'd like to say hello to Dr. Hedricks, the past and present monks, outstanding faculty, staff, the alumni board for having me. I'm very honored again. I don't know why he chose me. When I first got the letter, I looked back at it and I go, I didn't do anything outstanding. I thought I just was normal. And I don't know what you guys saw, but can you write me what you saw so I can feel that same thing? You know, I almost, when told what I had to do, I was thinking, I'm just going to hit Salt and go to Portland and fly home. But like I said, when I first saw the campus and I saw the change, I was very happy and I was glad. And you know, when I talk to students, I'm glad that they come here and they can see things that is really what college life is supposed to be. And all the faculty and how they present and help them to be what they are. I would like to reflect or change it. Instead of talking about myself, what tugs at my heart the most is the people that made my time here great. And I'm glad they're here. There are three families I'd like to say thank you to. The Liddells, John and Jean, the Smirnokoffers, Frank Bizet and Louise, and Murphy and the Fox, who is Keith, the Keiths. They were my adult moms and dads when I was here. When I ever had something to go to, I could talk to them and they would help me. And I really appreciated that. The other thing that I really, really happy and makes my heart sing is people like Mackerel. I went to Waipahu with Dr. Pam. He was like not sure what he wanted to do. He came to St. Martin's and he has really had an impact, and I think a lot of you know him. Mackerel, are you here? There he is back there. The other graduate I want to say something about, he called me last night about midnight and says, Uncle Tommy, I cannot come. Texas is airport is closed. And his name is Jace. Jace graduated from here. He went to the University of Michigan, got his master's. He's now at Texas, working on his professional degree. I look at that, and I'm very happy that they came, because I think my giving back was to make sure that students, wherever they go, and if they come here, great, that they can improve them and get a better life for them and their family. And that's why I'm happy I came to St. Martin's, because he prepared me to do that. And like he mentioned, it is very important that we look at making sure that people who leave us, remember, you need to give back when you're gone. So from the bottom of my heart, to all my friends, everybody here, and to all the other distinguished people, and they have better stories than I do. Mine is really, I'm let them do their thing. But I'm glad that you came to honor them, and glad you're here. And to the people from Hawaii, thanks. You don't get to take a picture, man.
No, but we'll do it later.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, this is it. That's good.
Thank you, Tommy. I look forward to visiting you all. They have a pretty neat golf tournament in August that you need to put that on your calendar, because I think last year was their first inaugural there, and they raised $40,000 for the baseball team. So Thank you all, and thank you all for coming. Next up is Bob Basich, of 49. Bob Basich served his community for 40-plus years, including 6 terms in the Washington State House of Representatives. For his service, he received the governor's proclamation in 1992 and a House resolution. This morning, I'm proud to introduce John Basich to speak for Bob Basich.
We clarified before I got the announcement that it was a 20 to 30 minute speech that we had, and then found out that it was 2 to 3, so I will try to cut it down. Dr. Hendricks, congratulations on your upcoming retirement. Cecilia, Board of Directors, Alumni Board, Trustees. I probably will leave somebody out, but on behalf of my family, I want to thank St. Martin's College for honoring my dad with this award. I know a lot of work goes into making an event like this happen, especially in the trying circumstances that we've had the last couple years. Many thanks to the alumni office. My first contact was with Kathy, who I met coming in, that showed me all the ropes of the nomination process. And then Jama, where's Jama? Jama's back there. Jama, who took the time to answer my calls and was patient with me as I emailed her countless times. So thank you too. And everybody else that had a part in putting this together. I can't even imagine how much time and effort goes into staging something like this. There is no doubt my dad would be extremely touched by this honor and proud to share the stage with the other award winners who exemplified that hope and love that Abbot Marion mentioned. I just added this, Abbot, that when you master the rules of Benedict, especially on obedience, could you give me a call? St. Martin's held a special place in my dad's life. I remember the praise and kind words he had for the faculty, administration, and coaches. There is no doubt his time here prepared him for a life of service. He absolutely loved the Grays Harbor community, specifically Aberdeen. Dad and Mom thought their hometown was the center of the universe. They made a great team as they worked on countless service projects to improve the city and the harbor. And his wife, Anita, of 44 years, my dear mother, is here today. Give us a wave, Mom. Over the years, the family has heard from scores of people who recalled the impact of my dad on their lives. Students, athletes, classmates, friends, colleagues, teammates, and fellow legislators. They speak of Dad's unbelievable energy, unshakable positive attitude, and superb organizational skills. And maybe at the top of the list was his gift of joy. Dad was LOLing before it was a thing. Whether it was in the classroom, on the basketball court, the football or baseball fields, leading activities as director of Parks and Recreation, teaching social dancing for the old and for the young, or serving his constituents as their state legislator for 12 years, he strove for excellence in all things. Dad's love for his community was surpassed only by his love for family. He brought pure joy to family gatherings. I'm sure every member of our family can recall a story of Dad, or Pa, as the grandkids called him, at holidays and special occasions. He and Mom worked so hard to make these times memorable. And in all of them, laughter was always on the menu. In gathering information about my dad for this award, many treasured memories were rekindled. He impacted our family in so many ways, and his spirit will live on in all of us. In closing, let me sincerely thank the St. Martin's community for this special tribute to our dad. May God continue to bless this institution in your mission of faith, reason, service, and community. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Our next honoree is Mike Cronk. He's unable to be here this morning, but high school class of 61. And Brother Boniface Lazare will accept the award on Mike's behalf. Mike has been instrumental to the growth of St. Martin's University in many ways, from service to the Board of Trustees, to administrative search committees, and most recently, the Comprehensive Campaign Steering Committee. Brother Boniface?
Several years ago, I stood up here and gave an acceptance speech, much longer than the one I'm giving today, on my own behalf. And with the one for Mike, I'm just going to do a few reminiscences. His association with St. Martin's goes clear back to the mid-20th century, the late 1950s, probably. He's an alum, as you read in the program, of both the high school and the college. And for years, he's also been a strong supporter of St. Martin's. He served as an active member, a very active member of the Board of Trustees and on many committees. He and I were sequestered together in a hotel by SeaTac during one search committee, interviewing people as they came in on the airplane and then talking about them and then interviewing the next people. In 2014, he was named a trustee emeritus. Mike and I met mid-century, 20th century, when we were both college students here at St. Martin's. And it was when he was here at St. Martin's as a college student that he got his start in what was going to be his lifelong profession in the food service industry, as he works at that time for Saga Food, which was then our food service provider. St. Martin's was a very different place in those days, but in many ways it's the same. I think that the spirit is the same. Physically, it looks different. People who were here, for example, in Old Main at that time would be surprised to find that staircases have been removed and that the building physically has changed quite a bit since then, among other things. But this is when we got our start as people who knew each other. Our paths crossed only sporadically during the next number of years, and it wasn't until Mike became a member of the Board of Trustees that we actually got to know each other again, serving on committees, serving on the board. And it was at that time that I not only renewed my acquaintance with him, but got to know his wonderful late wife, Stella. And on one occasion, I was their guest for a bit in their home in Naples, in Florida. She was a wonderful hostess, a lovely woman. Yesterday I spoke with Mike, and as we speak, or as I speak, and as you listen, he's at his home in Florida, in Naples. That was my first trip to Florida, and I was amazed that if I went out on the balcony, I could see mangrove swamps. I'd heard of mangrove swamps and read about them in literature, but I never thought that I would see one. And one night we went to dinner and had to go through some swamps where there were alligators, but we were in some sort of a little golf cart, and so we were just told not to get off. And so we ended up at the beach, and actually I'm still alive and he's still alive, so it was a good experience. So I spoke with him yesterday and asked if there was anything in particular that he wanted me to say. He's very grateful for what is almost a lifetime association with St. Martin's. He thanks the alumni and the university very much for honoring him. And in particular, there was only one thing that he specifically wanted me to mention in my brief remarks. He said that over the years, he's especially enjoyed working with our president, Dr. Roy Hendricks, and with Rick Panowicz, who's another of the honorees today. So with that, I will say thank you on Mike's behalf. You want a picture of me? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Boniface, on behalf for speaking about Mike Cronk. Our next distinguished alumni, Dr. Richard B. Hecker, class of '81. Dr. Richard Hecker had a distinguished military career and continues working in his medical practice. He was a founding member to the University Gala and was recently selected to serve as an advisor to St. Martin's University nursing program. Dr. Hecker?
Thank you. Well, good morning. In 1971, I was invited by the federal government to participate in the Vietnam conflict, much to my chagrin. So that interrupted my pre-medical training at the University of Illinois. I had just finished my junior year. And upon completion of that, I was offered an opportunity to do a brand new program called the Physician Assistant Program. This was post-Vietnam. And that was through Baylor University, and I gratefully accepted that. It was a 30-month program. And it awarded me a military officer position and the opportunity to serve our troops somewhere in the world. It later turned out to be 3.5 years in Germany. That program only gave me an Associate of Science degree, so by the time I had completed that, I had over 6 years of college without a basic baccalaureate. When I came back from Germany in 1980, I was basically a placeholder waiting to decide whether I was going to go back to attempt to get into medical school or whether I was going to continue a military career. And I met Mr. Phil Carbo at Fort Lewis, who invited me to take some night courses and also introduced me to Father Placidus Reichman, who after reviewing my credentials told me that he thought he could get me a degree in a reasonable amount of time. And I thought, well, how long is that going to be? And he said, well, maybe 1 to 2 years. So I said, fine. So I actually left military service, accepted a job at the Pierce County Health Department, where I opened up a jail health clinic. First time they had full-time health services there. And I did that in the evening so I could attend St. Martin's during the day. Well, I leveraged that opportunity into completing 2 degrees in basically a 12-month period, and then went on to medical school. So St. Martin's was very instrumental to me in able to salvage my career in a very short period of time and get me on track to where I wanted to go. I've always been grateful for that. Many years later, I took an opportunity with my wife to visit the area, and we just dropped in to say hello, and the next thing I knew, I was on a committee called the President's Council. Following year, I was on the Board of Trustees, and my bank account was getting smaller and smaller, and I was grateful for that. So. But anyway, I've met some absolutely wonderful people here, and I'd like to just recognize a few of them. As you know, I was one of the founders of the gala, along with Al Eckroth and Dick Roney. And we had a rough time the first 1 or 2 years, but it took off, and it's done extraordinarily well, as you know. Another instrumental person for us was Miss Debbie Hodes-Geider, who was with America's Credit Union. She actually ponied up some money for us to start the first military scholarship, which is the highlight of the gala right now. So I want to thank her very much for that financial support. As you know, Dr. Hendricks came in as for a pre-employment interview, and it was a pleasure meeting him, and I'm glad that he was selected. At that time, we did discuss the nursing program that had recently passed, and I suggested to him, as many others did, that we ought to reinvigorate that, and as you can see, it has happened. And I'm grateful to say that I now have a daughter that's going to graduate in May from the BSM program, so thank you. Especially to Terry Wu for allowing that to happen. Anyway, it's been quite an honor. I've always felt that whenever there's a fork in the road, you should take it. I'm stealing that from somebody, obviously, but we are all a product of whatever experiences we've had, and all of mine have been absolutely wonderful, and I thank you for this honor. Thank you.
Hang on right here.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hecker. Our next honoree is Bill Iyall, class of 1973. Bill has had a distinguished engineering career and proudly served on the all-volunteer Cowlitz Tribal Council since 1993 and became the chairman and COO for the Cowlitz Indian Tribe in 2008. Please welcome Bill Iyall.
Thank you, Christopher, and thank you all. Mahalo to my friends from Hawaii. I learned that from Senator Inouye. I've met him several times on my trips to Washington, D.C. as chairman of the Cowlitz Indian Tribe. And I got to say that my engineering career has its foundation here. You know, I started here in '68. I got that invitation to go to the armed services, the same as the doctor did, in 1968, and served 2 years. So it did interrupt my schooling. I took all my prereq at Centralia College and came here with pretty much a clean slate. All I had was engineering classes here. And I first met, my first professor here was Father Richard. And, you know, I give him the credit for a lot of what I've been able to achieve. I mean, it was pure dedication that I saw there. And it really meant so much to me to see that. He knew my family, too. My father grew up at Nisqually, and my grandmother had a close connection to St. Martin's here. She held Sunday school at the reservation. And Father Anscar would come to her house for Sunday school, you know, and it was just a special connection. My father's family came here for high school, and so that's in the 30s. That goes way back. You'll see their house on Reservation Road as you drive through Iyall out there. I went on to, after the service, with just engineering classes to come here, and I went to that little building over there, and we had a piece of equipment that was as big as this stage here. It was our testing machine. It was ancient. It was ancient, much maybe like what we're hearing about the chemistry lab. But our lab was basically, we did a lot of concrete testing there. And so we would have this massive machine with a balance arm. Now they have machines that are hydraulically driven, but this had a balance arm, and it made a horrendous racket. Oh boy. But we really used the heck out of that machine, and you break this concrete cylinder over and over again to prove the strength of that material. And so we had a lot of really good instructors, professors. I met one of my structures professors a few years after I graduated. I was heading up the building department in Tacoma, and he came to town as a consultant. It was he was working on the side, and he had a bit of a perplective problem with an old building, and I was working on a lot of old buildings in Tacoma, and so I offered him some guidance. So it was quite an honor to give him some help with this structure. He was an MIT PhD, and he knew his business, but I was fortunate to have a lot of good, not only education here, but while I was going to school here, when I came back, I worked at the Department of Transportation headquarters as an intern, and that was the afternoons, and then I had a full ride BIA scholarship. And with that, I wasn't an exemplary student in my prereq, but when I got here, I wanted to get everything right, get it, have a great, get the best use of that scholarship, the best use of what we had here at the school, and it was astounding. I had the GI Bill too, coming out of the military, so I never had so much money. My roommate and I, also a classmate, had lived on the lakefront out here in a duplex, and so we had a good life. When I left with my degree, I went through to check out the financial office, and they said, "What are you going to do with all of the rest of this money in your account?" And I didn't realize I had room and board too. So I just said, "You keep it." I just walked away with my degree, and I was happy to have that. And so I did work for a contractor, Peter Kiewit, for a short time, and built the Continental Grain Terminal on the Port of Tacoma. I went on, worked for a structural firm in Seattle, and we designed the base camp for ARCO before there was anything up there at Prudhoe Bay. And I'm engineer in training, and that was one of the things that Father Richard was pretty strong on, is licensure, getting your license before you leave. We had the basic license before we'd leave the school. And I didn't have my professional license until '77, but in '75 I designed a building and drew the whole building, designed it, turned in my calculations and the drawings to the lead engineer, and he said, "I'd never seen anything like this," So it was great to have that honor. That's the biggest building on the North Slope still, 45 years later. So the career you can build here is so solid, and the foundation. I want to congratulate all of you on what we've achieved, what you've achieved here at the school, and I just really am so humbled and honored to be here. As chairman, I was in office 12 years as elected leader of the tribe. 2 years of that, I was still working full-time for the city of Tacoma. But I did go to D.C. We had a lot of issues to work in D.C., and I met, I know 20 senators and probably 30 congressmen, met 3 presidents, and it's been a great ride. I was told I was a club of 500 as a tribal chairman. You have a lot of responsibilities, and the COVID hit, and we have, by that time, we had achieved 2,000 employees in our casino. That was a brand new casino, Lannan at Ridgefield. And I had 400 employees in office that I was responsible for, personally responsible for, all of those, their health and safety and welfare. And we led that whole, I guess, arena of how to get the work done for the members. We have 4,000 members that need services, and how to continue that. So all of our employees were given the option to work from home when you could. And of course, the casino employees could not go home and work. Well, we shut down the casino for 77 days, but we reopened with the highest safety standard of any casino in the Northwest, and maintained that. That was the most important thing, protect the employees, but also to protect our guests and the public that comes in. And worked with the health department, Dr. Melnick in Clark County. We really held the highest standards for the employees, and we never had one outbreak at all whatsoever through the whole pandemic. Well, I left when I retired when it first hit, because I'm well beyond retirement age, and I thought now's the time, and we've got things well in hand, and it's just great to be back here again. I want to just thank everyone here, and congratulations. I didn't meet Tommy when I was here in 71 through 73, but I kind of wish I would have. Anyway, thank you all.
Thank you, Bill. Sort of put perspective in what you get here is an education experience is as solid as concrete. Our next distinguished alumni is Tamara Jenkins, the class of '95. So this is a youngster. Tamara Jenkins serves her community through her work and her service, which includes a local children's hospital as a foster parent and for the Washington State Council of Firefighters Burn Foundation. Would you please welcome Tamara?
It's an honor to be here today. Thank you so much for having me. I want to say, Bill, I remember some concrete machines in that engineering building too. We reminisced today as we were driving in. I want to say thank you to all of you. You are all honored and distinguished guests. And it's, as my brother was reminding me last night, anything we accomplish in life is about standing on the shoulders of giants. So I think about the shoulders of giants here, even at St. Martin's. And I think of the brothers, I think of the Abbot, I think of the fathers, just those that reached out even when my experience here at St. Martin's. I also want to do a huge shout out to Dr. Rory Hendricks. He was here just a few years, and something that he shared with me is something that is embodied every day here at St. Martin's. I called him up and I said, Rory, we have a father from Krakow, Poland, and he's visiting us here in DuPont. Would you be willing to have lunch with us? And he invited the abbot and some fathers and some brothers, and we had an interpreter, had a wonderful lunch. And what Dr. Hendricks shared that day was an exemplification and embracing of care, kindness, openness, and complete unconditional love to complete strangers. And when I think about even St. Martin's of Tours and what St. Martin's accomplished in his life, he honored God in all things. And in honoring God, he helped others. even in sharing his own cloak, and we can read that story. And in his life and what he shared, it is also embodied in the education that is here at St. Martin's. And what I found here at St. Martin's that I still embrace in my career, in my home life, with whomever I'm coming in contact with, and giving myself grace and giving others grace, is simply this. And that is to have openness, to have servanthood leadership, to have the honor and the humility. When we think of St. Martin's de Tours, he didn't want that place. I often think of the talents that we're all given, and in those talents, we can do some with it, we could bury it, or we can make the most of it. And something that's been very clear to me many times, even on this campus, my time and my service in DuPont, is that we're all given talents, and someday we're gonna stand before our Maker, and he's gonna ask us, what did we do with the skills, the talents, and the beautiful gifts that he gave us? So today, what I hope for all of us is that in service that we move forward and that we pay it forward. We believe in causes greater than ourselves, and we be the best we can be as we live and before others. So with that, may you all be blessed. I thank you all for this incredible honor, and please take care.
Thank you, Tamara. Well, our next distinguished alumni, and before I say anything, is I heard from Abbot Neal that he was a bit of a Dickens in college, or something to that. Judge Richard Jones High School, 68, and honorary doctorate, 2008. The Honorable Judge Richard A. Jones has been a United States District Court judge in Seattle since 2007, and was awarded the American Bar Association's Diversity Leadership Award in 2019. Please welcome Judge Jones.
Congratulations, honorees, and it's my privilege and honor to be before you today. Special thanks to Abbot Neal. I want you to know back then he was Brother Neal, and I took several courses from him. I won't say that I was mischievous, but what I can tell you is that Abbot Neal reminded me that he knew exactly which row I sat in. He knew exactly which seat I sat in, and I can't imagine why. But I want you to know, Abbot Neal, that everything I learned in your class, and particularly the English courses, have paid off for me in the long run. Special thanks also to my wife for 40 years, and also a special thanks to two people that are critical for me to be here today. That was my father, who was a carpenter, and my mother, who was a maid. I was the last of 8 children, in particular thanks to my mother, because she did everything because she wanted her last child to have the very best possible education. And there's a doctor by the name of Dr. Cagle with the ship Hope. I'm not sure if you remember that ship Hope, but he wanted to create a scholarship opportunity at St. Martin's so that they could help diversify this institution. This is in high school. That was many years ago. And I hope that I've proved what I put in my high school annual to Dr. Cagle and to this institution was to prove myself. You could find one of those annuals, that's exactly what it says. And I want you to know that as a federal judge, I make decisions every single day that affect people's lives, some local and sometimes national. And those decisions are hard decisions. But I want you to know that the decisions I make and the skill set that I have and all that I have achieved is because of the foundation and the foundation and the foundation of what I received at St. Martin's. So to all the young students that are out there that are thinking about what an education from St. Martin's can do for you, I want you to dream your biggest dreams. And then I want you to magnify that biggest dream by 100 times. And then when you exhaust that, kick it up to 1,000 times, because that's what a St. Martin's education can do for you. Thank you.
Well, Abbot Neil, I don't think he's so bad, right? Turned out okay. Sometimes it's good to have a little bit of Dickens in you. Our next distinguished alumni is Brigadier General Jill Lannon, United States Air Force, retired, class of 1993, another youngster. Brigadier General Jill Lannon was the first female general officer in the Washington Air and Army National Guard history, and a recipient of many prestigious awards for her service. General Lannon.
It's intimidating to be up here in front of this crowd, and I was telling my family that, for 35 years I stood in uniform as an intelligence and cyberspace officer, often addressing large groups and troops, but always in a uniform with combat boots, and for some reason this crowd seems far more intimidating than that does, so please bear with me. I'm nervous, and that is very uncharacteristic for me, but good morning, and thank you for that nice, kind introduction. And I want to begin by thanking the St. Martin's University family and the Alumni Committee for this recognition. I'm just so shocked and honored and humbled to be up here. And for everyone who put on this wonderful weekend, I truly know how hard it is to organize an event like this, and especially during an ever-changing pandemic. So for everybody behind the scenes, I know we're all very grateful, so thank you very much. So today I have my family with me, part of my family with me, and I just want to thank them for being here. My son, Bo, and his girlfriend, Destiny, and his grandparents, Tom and Corliss Lannan, my other parents who flew down from Wasilla, Alaska to be here with me. And whoever was talking about Prudhoe Bay, Grandpa spent a lot of time in Prudhoe Bay, so he may have been in that cement building. My other son, Jesse, and daughter-in-law, Natalie, were not able to be here, but I know they're watching. So I've got to be honest with all of you. I was so shocked when I was first contacted about this, and I honestly thought it was a mistake or a very late misunderstanding, and I'll tell you why. Back in October, I was driving from the airport in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to my home in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, a town where I grew up, less than 1,000 people. I'm a Yooper, for those of you who know what that is, and yeah, there, hey, I can speak Yooper. So I was on my way back home, driving, and it's like a 4-hour drive because we're way up in the UP, and I got this call from the headquarters Washington Air National Guard, and they said, ma'am, St. Martin's is trying to get a hold of you. I said, St. Martin's? He said, yeah, St. Martin's. I said, are you sure it's not St. Norbert trying to get a hold of me? He said, no, St. Martin's. I said, why do they want to get a hold of me? He said, they want to recognize you. I said, no, that's got to be St. Norbert. He said, no, it's St. Martin's in Lacey. So I said, okay, all right, I'm not sure what this is all about. So I went on to spend some time at the cabin that has no internet, no phone, a wonderful place to be, way up out of touch with everything. And when I got back, sure enough, and so it began. So I'm a little bit of a storyteller, so bear with me for a moment here. And I'll tell you why it was confusing for me. So I grew up in the UP. I was the daughter of a beer and wine distributor, and very popular in college. I went to St. Norbert College, the Norbertine, the only Norbertine university in the whole country. And while I was there, I earned a degree in French and Spanish in 1985, and I was also in the ROTC program. So when I graduated, I went straight into the Army as a second lieutenant with a degree in French and Spanish. The Army brought me, after my first tour, it brought me to Fort Lewis. And I knew that the Army was going to move me, and I ended up just falling in love with the Pacific Northwest. I'm an outdoorsman. This was the place I wanted to be. So I wanted to raise a family here and decided to exit the Army. So back in '85, when I graduated from St. Norbert College with a degree in French and Spanish, the Army sent me to Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, to lead a platoon of Korean linguists. So much for my French and Spanish degree, go Army. But it was a wonderful experience, and when I met Tommy and I could speak a little Mahalo with him, it made me feel like I was back on the North Shore of Oahu. So when I separated in 1992, I knew that I wanted to use my language skills, and teaching was an obvious choice. I had a home here in Lacey, wanted to settle down, and I came upon St. Martin's College, which it was called at the time. And I knew from the moment I stepped on this campus that this was the right choice for me. The quaint, beautiful surroundings of the campus, I just immediately felt at home and at ease, and it reminded me of my beloved St. Norbert College on the Fox River in Wisconsin. The faculty here was amazing, the friendships that I gained here, and even though it was a brief time to get my certification, I felt forever just indebted to this college who shared values of service and caring for others, as I learned at St. Norbert College. So I received my teacher's certification in 1993, and I was fortunate to teach at Rainier High School. I taught Spanish out in Rainier, and I taught French and Spanish at Nova School here in Lacey, which, for those of you who know, it's a school for academically gifted kids. And when I taught, it was on Ruddle Road in a little small house. And I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not had my degree here, my certification here from St. Martin's. Concurrently, I was serving in the Air National Guard. Got out of the Army, and I wanted to continue to serve. And I went on to serve in the Air National Guard in a variety of positions for 27 more years. And I retired in 2020 after 35 years in uniform. So, shortly before I retired, and here's why I thought it was a mix-up, I was contacted by my alma mater, St. Norbert College, where the Board of Trustees had selected me to receive a Juris Doctorate, and they asked me to provide the commencement address, which I did. And it was just a life-changing experience for me, and I was just humbled and honored to do it. And as I talked to those students about how I had been on that campus and this campus, and what small Catholic universities, how they will shape your life and lead you into places you can't imagine as a youngster, only to come full circle. And I just feel like I came full circle there, and to have this award today is just beyond humbling. I feel like I've really, truly come full circle, and I wouldn't have made it where I did had I not had that brief stop here, and I know that for certain. So I'm sorry, I'm an emotional person. My son's going to try and make me laugh, but he'll probably do something inappropriate, so I won't look over there. So, while I am a bit of perhaps an unconventional recipient of this, I am nonetheless very, very grateful, honored, and humbled to be here today among all of you, and so very thankful for the education I got here. So thank you all, and God bless you all. And this is a personal friend of mine who traded shifts so she could be the photographer here today. There you go. And she knows I'm crying. So okay. Get my good side thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill Lannon. So our next recipient is Rick Panowicz, Honorary Doctorate of 2020. Rick has served as the chairman of various St. Martin's University boards and committees, and he's played a very significant role in the university's engineering initiative and established the Panowicz Foundry for Innovation. Rick Panowicz, please.
Feels good to take that mask off. You know, you talked about intimidating. I am really intimidating by my fellow recipients here. Man, any one of you could speak at any Rotary Club and bring them all standing ovations. So thank you so much for your intelligence and your ability to inspire people. When Cecilia called me about this award, I thought, something's not quite right. And the first thing that went to my mind was a phrase from an old movie called Wayne's World. And the guy said, "I'm not worthy." In a lot of ways, I feel that way. And I'll tell you why. I didn't graduate from St. Martin's. I'm a Husky from the University of Washington. And about 20 years ago, I became a convert. I was asked to serve on the board of trustees, and quite frankly, it's been probably the greatest honor in my life. I've learned so much, and I've met so many great people. And rather than talk about myself, I'd like to just recognize some of the people that I've had the pleasure to work with, and I'll tell you why. First is Dino Batali. Dino's not here, but Doc Hecker and L. Eckroth and a few other alumni started the gala, but Dino brought that element of the chef coming from afar, and then it just took off. But Dino has his heart and soul in this school, and I wished he was here today. Terry Monahan and Wade Dalrymple, both engineering students. If it hadn't been for them, I doubt if we'd have the engineering school we have today. They're kind of like bulldogs. Once they got in tune to what needed to be done, they just took it and ran. And Roy kept up with them, and the board approved, and we have a great engineering building. John Carr did the same for the science building. You know, an alumni that got his degree in chemistry, went on to illustrious career in chemistry, came back and helped us get that building built. Patrick Crum and the young people here, Chris, they're all stepping up now, and it's really encouraging to see the young generation come back in and help us with the gala, help us with our campaigns. Chris is on the campaign for the endowment, so we thank you. Dick Roney is probably your biggest cheerleader and your historian. He knows everybody that's gone through this school, and he is really a salesman for St. Martin's. I'm just amazed, and he's been a great friend. Inga Marcus. Inga taught here, went to school here, and her husband Hal and Inga have been just wonderful supporters for the school. We can always count on Inga to help us not only financially, but with different programs that we're considering. And then I have my spiritual heroes, Abbot Neil, Father Killian, Boniface, and now Marion. You've done something special for me. We all have our faith, but you've helped renew that and bring it back to down-to-earth basics. You're good men, and you lead by example. You don't have to say a lot, but just watching you and what you've done for this community has been really inspiring. I thank you. And finally, my best friend, Roy Hendricks, and I say that truthfully. It's been just a pleasure to not only be involved in hiring you, but watch you and Kathleen take this university to the next level. We're certainly going to miss you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick Panowicz. It's a pleasure serving with you as well. And as I said, it's all the distinguished alumni here. It's just really amazing to hear your stories. Everyone, with such amazing backgrounds and the things that you have done since leaving St. Martin's and coming back and giving so much of your time and your talents. Next is Mark Templeton, class of 1969. Mark was an early contributor of the Benedictine Institute of St. Martin's University and owns his international sourcing and apparel design business, Templeton and Associates, LLC. Mark Templeton, please.
Oh, good afternoon, or good morning. It's almost afternoon. Rick, a tough act to follow. Terrific, thank you very much. I'm honored here to be in this year's class of Distinguished Alumni. What great resumes, what great careers and accomplishments. Thank you. I want to thank my gracious and wonderful wife, Freddie. She's here today. And to support and for the support she's given me over the last 40 plus years of our marriage. I want to thank my children, Colin and Sarah. Colin for flying up from Los Angeles, and Sarah, who would be here today, but she was caught in the airline cancellations on the East Coast yesterday due to these giant storms on the East Coast. We miss you, Sarah. When I was returning from the St. Martin's Gala last November on my United flight, the cabin attendant leaned over from her trolley and asked me if I had figured out the meaning of life. Out of the blue, seriously. During my 4 days on campus, I spent some quiet time. I've been trying to figure out what I was going to say in this brief speech. The topic I was working on was the spirit of St. Martin's. Boniface mentioned it. And what was it exactly that SMC had given me during my 4 years here when this stranger posed her question about the meaning of life? For some unfathomable reason, I gave her a one-liner. Life is about relationships. Just came to me. Remembering my college time in the second half of the 1960s, I recall the relationships that developed between the students and their teachers. Exceptional professors like Dr. Les Bailey, Dr. Contras, Father Killian, my friend, Father Bertrand, not so friend, and I'm happy to be pictured right next to him in this. Go get him. Father Bertrand, Father Bede, Father Thaddeus, and Father George, all taught to give us, as Chris mentioned, a desire to learn, not just study. St. Martin's taught us to reach out, to explore, to build new relationships with each other, keep old ones alive, and equipped us with the tools to make future ones. In the 5 decades since then, the spirit of the Abbey, the dedication of the faculty, and the personal attention to each student's needs have continued. So many colleagues from my undergraduate years have kept their relationships alive. Dennis Reynolds, at a dinner in New York several years ago with Teddy and their daughter, said to me that it was a gift that we could almost say anything and be understood that it was from the heart. No misunderstandings. Tom Bart, told me that Benedictines taught him the value of friendship, hard work, and study. Quoting another classmate of ours, Larry McCarthy, there is a spirit about the place that draws us back. Rob Keefe once told Father Killian and me that we were a cast of characters, suggesting the unique interconnection of the college community. I recall the Benedictines filing in columns from the Abbey to the church in the Old Main, through the campus in winter months and spring, reminding adolescent learners that Christ was present, and giving us hearts and minds to achieve for ourselves and figure out in the end what God's individual plan for each of us was. Life is about relationships. Our relationships with God, our relationships with family, our relationships with friends and business associates, and hopefully based on generosity with one another. I've often been struck by the similarity between advice from experts about how to be successful in business and the rule of St. Benedict. These authors write about the values needed for success: dedication to community, respect for the individual, learning, listening, excellence through value, stability, stewardship. The basic rules found in the teachings of St. Benedict are the same for success in a career and a success in a life. I believe all St. Martin's graduates have learned this whether they really realize it or not. And it is this unique experience that stitches us together as alumni. Life is about relationships. It's a very good lesson to learn when you were young. Smile now. Yeah. Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mark. So some very, very nice words. And before we get to our last recipient, I just want to sort of repeat those words that Abbot Marion gave us: faith, hope, love, peace. Obedience is a hard one for me. We'll work on it. And then as Art Felizar said yesterday, as closing up our meeting, when he comes back to this place, it's about spirituality. You feel it, you sense it, you realize it when you're here. So I'll leave you with that. And Art Felizar, I just want to recognize him because all of you have some beautiful, I don't know what they call those, but they're leis. They're a particular nut that's around you, and I got one of those, and so I can see all of the distinguished alumni have these beautiful leis that Art Felizar brought, or Tommy brought. Thank you. So our final distinguished alumni, Father Bertrand Troutman, O.S.B, High School 36, BA in 1941. Father Bertrand Troutman, O.S.B, served as the academic vice president from 1965 to 1968. He became chaplain at St. Placid Priory and was appointed to the Board of Trustees in 1971. On his behalf, Abbot Neil asks you to say a few words about Father Bertrand.
When I was a young monk, I was afraid of Father Bertrand. He was a big man, about 6 feet or plus. He had a booming voice, and he came into a situation, he was in charge. That's the way he struck me, at least at that young age. When I was the abbot in office, I was very interested in having monks represented on the different areas of the campus. Buildings are named after monks, abbots for most of them. And it bothered me that Father Bertrand, who had started basically student government, his degree, doctorate was in political science, and it kind of was dead. So he came in and he organized the students for student government and got that going again. And eventually, when they built the student union building, most of the students paid for that, I think, with some student body funds and loans. And they named it Troutman Union. But somehow over the years, they forgot about Father Bertrand, and it was referred to as the Student Union Building. So I went over and talked to the student body one night, and I said, you know, I think you should call this building Troutman Union. That's what it was named. And the man who did so much for student government was responsible for what you're doing right now at the student body government meeting. So I brought them a picture and a plaque, put that on the wall, and we began calling it Troutman Union. However, it's called the Tub. And I'm not sure that's much of an improvement over the Sub. But anyway, it is after a monk who did a lot. He was always interested in students and in their progress in the school, and so may he rest in peace. Yeah, let me put these glasses away. Oh, I get a package too.
So I'd like to welcome back Cecilia Lovelace for some closing remarks. Thank you all very much.
So I want to start by thanking Christopher for coming and actually finding his way back here. If we could all give him a round of applause, that would be wonderful. I also wanted to pause and ask all of the National Alumni Board members who are here to please stand up, because they have really created what we just did today. So can you all please stand up, National Alumni Board members? Now, this is your invitation, all of the alumni in this room, to be a part of this National Alumni Board and everything they're doing to make sure that all of our students here have access to mentors, resourceful people to help them find jobs, people to help us raise money for scholarships, and even to help us with admissions work. So thank you to the National Alumni Board. I want to congratulate you all once more. I don't have a long speech, but I do want to just do a quick reflection on that I hope each of you were listening with your hearts, because it was just very moving to hear each of your stories today and to feel such a part of this place. I want to go back and reflect. Thank you so much to the IA team in the back and all around for making this happen. They're incredible. And I hope that you will go visit with the monks, Coffee with the Monks at 1. I also hope that you will come back for the Hall of Fame, and we do get to watch the women's basketball game. I think that's still on. And yay, and I hope, I don't know if Bob Grisham is still here. Is he still here? This evening we will also be honoring him, which will be very special after 37 years and what he's done for our athletic programs. So we do have box lunches over here. I do hope that you will pick one up. If you want to stay and be with your friends, please do that if you feel comfortable. And if not, please take it to go. We definitely still believe in hospitality here. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the festivities that are a part of this weekend. I also want to thank you for coming. We did, like Dr. Hendricks say, reflect on should we cancel? You know, what can we do that keeps this safe? And I can tell you, looking around the room and seeing the connections that are here today, that we made a really good choice. So thank you so much for traveling far and wide through storms and everything. Welcome. Thank you.